Hey everybody, welcome back to the Duncan to Go podcast. I am sitting back down with Chelsea in this part 2. We originally planned one part, but hey, people have spoken. You're back for round 2. So excited to have you here. And what's it been like on the separation of time between part 1 and part 2?
I mean, it feels like years, truly, Duncan.
It's been a minute.
It's been a while.
But it's like we've talked totally different things, and I mean, so many other life experiences have happened between those two moments, and I don't know. Thank you for being here.
Of course, happy to be here.
I'm also happy that you're the first part 2.
Oh, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, you're the first part 2. You're the first follow-up.
I will take it. Can whoever's editing just insert the round of applause here?
Oh, that's good. That's good. The other thing about this is we still have the clock running for the amount of views going for the last podcast
We do.
to release it. So in the minute, we're looking for 2,000 views,
Yep.
and we're dropping it.
Yep.
The OG Instagram of Chelsea's, I would say, photography career. How about that?
Yeah, all like 9 photos that are on that page.
Yeah, but it is just...
But the bio is still there, and I did
Ooh.
find it yesterday. It said it has my name, and then it says 21. So I was 21 years old whenever I first started that page, at least.
So it's been a few years. We don't know the number of years. No, my mom taught me better than that.
No.
We don't know the number of years. We're not going to call that out.
Yeah.
But, all right, so let's get into it. I know where we left off last time was photography heavy, getting into concert photography, really being immersed in that space. I mean, I think the biggest thing taking away from that for me was how you learned camera settings and photography compared to how I did.
Yeah.
And to think about, I mean, I literally sat back, and we talked about this after we went through the whole Pez thing. It was like, I even sat back and was like, oh my gosh, like she was manual focusing concerts, which is just still mind blowing to me. And so again, anyways, now what we're going to talk about is I want to know the next iteration. Like, where did photography take you to? Did you have a point? Because I would imagine a lot of people out there, like, they're kind of the point where is it a hobby? Is it a job? Is it my life passion? Like, where does that sit for you? Which then at that point leads you to, a job kind of managing pieces of content.
Yeah. So even whenever I was doing or running this, I always refer to it as running a business, but, there were it was almost more in a hobby sense of doing it. But I was working part-time at a nursing home as a CNA still. I had the opportunity, luckily the place that I was working at, I was able to go PRN, which means as needed in the medical field. I don't know that field. Completely different field than what we're in right now.
Absolutely.
There's the two sides of my personality, again, kind of coming out. But basically the only stipulation was that I had to work 1 day a pay period. 1 8-hour shift a pay period.
Interesting.
And so I would do that in between driving back and forth to St. Louis to cover whatever, weddings, concerts, all of that. And I actually completely stumbled into what I like to call my first big girl job. In St. Louis, I had a friend of mine from years previous, and our friendship was one of those that, you'd be really close for a few months, and then you both fall off the face of the world for a year or so, and then something would happen that brought you back together. So we were in that phase of just living completely separate lives. And they reached out to me and said that there was an opportunity for a part-time job in St. Louis making video content at a corporation. And so I was like, yeah, sure, I'll entertain this. Why not? I don't really have anything to lose. I was in St. Louis a lot more often than I was back home anyway.
But were you doing any video work at the time?
Not really. I had definitely, I had shot some video, which there's a potential for that video to get leaked as well. But I had shot...
How many views?
Oh, God, I don't even know.
How many views?
I don't even think that they were posted on like YouTube or anything like that. They were just posted on bands' pages.
Oh, okay.
So I made one full-length music video, which was the first and only full-length music video that I've made. That one is quite interesting. And then I had made a couple of recap videos just being out on tour, but I am like fully photography driven only. Video was just kind of like, if I have to do it, I can probably make this work. I didn't even know at the time that I was making videos. Tim Hill, who we work with, actually taught me a lot of what I knew about video. I remember that he came over. We were working together at the last job, and he came over and asked me. I asked him to look at a video, and he asked me what my sequence settings were in, and I go, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, "What frame rate were you shooting this in?" And I go, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "What was your shutter speed?" And I was like, "I don't."
Just asking further and further more clarity
and
clarity and context.
I'm just so lost. And I think that, like, I thought for certain that this human, like, hated me. Pretty sure he felt like I didn't deserve the job that I was in at the point. Because I was just flying by the seat of my pants, like, very much just, like, I mentioned on the previous podcast that we did that I just con man constantly.
Oh, it's all strategy.
Oh yeah.
It's all deception with great, let's say great return.
Yeah.
Not just like, hey, like I'm going to go steal,
right.
But it's like, no. I'm going to go do these 4 moves
right.
to then get me here.
And that was the thing that I touched on as well, of like, take the gigs that you think that you're not cut out for, because I ended up learning so much. If I wouldn't have taken that gig, if I would have allowed myself to be like, oh no, I can't, like I'm not very good at video. I'm not the right fit for this. Literally, even what I'm doing today would have never happened, or potentially could have happened, but it might have been a much longer road to get there. But through that job, as I mentioned as well, that there were a lot of people that saw potential in me before I had ever seen it in myself. That was actually, I had gotten promoted into a leadership position, which was all hands-off photo and video, like creating content, and it was all managing people and processes and just the overall look of our creative and what we were putting out. So, and that was something that completely blindsided me. I think I had been with that company. I started out as a part-time, what we'd almost consider an intern type situation. Before the end of, it was either my first or second day there, I got moved to full-time. They asked me if I wanted to do copywriting as well, if I wanted to try my hand at some copywriting, and I was, sure, hell yeah, why not? I'm hourly, so, that sounds like a good plan to me, and I'm going to get crazy overtime if I have to stay overtime for this. So that happened, and then less than 2 months after that, they promoted me to a full-time videographer, and then I don't even think it had been a year after that point that I jumped 2 positions. So there's normal videographer, senior, and then an associate, and then a director. They just bypassed everything and were like, director. So I was completely blindsided, but it was something that I was really, really grateful for, that someone saw that in me, because I couldn't imagine doing anything else now.
So now when you look at building teams,
mm-hmm.
focusing on quality and quantity and people and output and client and, I mean, every dynamic, would you have made the same move if you were, like, if you saw yourself a few years ago and you saw this person up and coming, put the effort in, was really focused, do you feel like you would have made the same move to promote you?
I think that my view of myself sometimes can be, obviously not the view that other people have, a lot harder on myself. And I think that goes for a lot of people too. When looking inward, you're not seeing all the great, amazing things necessarily that someone on the outside is seeing. But I mean, I just kind of like would identify where there were gaps, and I would just step into it expecting nothing because I just wanted to help. And so, I mean, if I was seeing that out of someone that I was employing or, as a team member that I was overseeing, if I saw that and it was like, oh, I didn't even have to ask you to do this, you just identified that it needed to be done and went and did it and were unapologetic about it, I'd be like, yeah, I'll give you the title that matches what you're just already doing, and like, here's some money to sweeten the deal. You know what I mean? So maybe.
So maybe.
Yeah.
Because that's where it's like, we've talked about this a lot, where it's like how to move people and how to properly develop somebody. Yeah. Like, instead of just like, is it throw in the deep end, let them figure out if they're going to sink or swim? Yeah. Or is it like, hey, we start at the kiddie pool or like the bunny slope, and like you really move them up the ladder with like giving them opportunities, small micro opportunities to fail, learn, contribute, all those different things. Or it's like, hey, have a great time, figure it out. It's this fascinating process that you and I talk about all the time, and it's a beautiful puzzle. It's a frustrating puzzle. It is it's every emotion in one.
Yeah, and I don't think that honestly, it's not black and white. It's not this is it or this is it. I feel like it's really based on the person that is being looked at for that situation. There are people that if you throw them into the deep end, they're not going to sink. Like, they refuse to sink, right? They're going to figure it out. And they'll ask the questions where they need to ask the questions, and they'll make the mistakes and the failures that are going to help them learn, as well. And then there were other people that you can identify that's, hey, if I do this to that person, I'm going to break this human. And that's not going to be good for the human. That's not going to be good for the company. So I feel like you really have to identify what is someone's like best way of learning, and every human that you encounter is going to be different. So
I love it. It's something that I respect you. Again, watching you in admiration of like how you flow through those processes, and not even process, but even conversations, and the way you approach it is so thoughtful. Like, it is truly amazing to watch when it's like, I sit back here and say, hey, I know our team is so set up because of how much effort you put into understanding how someone needs to learn and develop and grow and everything else in this beautiful bubble that we call Littlefield.
Yeah.
It's truly special. But that's where I'm so, now looking back, it's like, it's really interesting to have you have the same reaction of like, yeah, if somebody stepped into the position, like, I think I would do the same thing.
Well, it's almost undeniable.
I agree.
You
but
can't watch it unfold in front of you and be like, yeah, no, not this person. Let's go grab this other one over here.
But you also said earlier that it's like you were surprised that you were like, you know what, move everybody aside, and I jumped 3 positions.
Yeah. I was very surprised.
I know, but that's like the coolest thing then.
Yeah.
Because now you've given other people that same ability, or you're willing to look at that level to find the person who's filling the gaps, who's putting the extra effort in, and all the above.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's awesome.
It's all about learning.
What is the most recent thing that you learned that just like kind of stopped you in your tracks? I know. Great question.
I know. So I think that it's a lesson that I continue to learn and that I'm continuously reminded of. The jump out here to Vegas, and like deciding to go back to this freelancing, that I had done in the past. It really is just take the chance. Like, what's the worst thing that happens? Like, there's always going to be something somewhere that you can fall back into. And that is kind of, what led me here too, was, I came out to Vegas. I was indulging back into my business, what I wanted to do. I was freelancing, had a couple really good like contracting positions. And of course, chasing my best friend just halfway across the country. But whenever, I don't know, I feel like it is also just like my mentality too of like, what's the worst thing that happens? You fail? Cool. Go do something else. Yep. So just consistently being reminded that it's okay to be uncomfortable in a situation, like a new situation, and to just take that chance, because like, and I don't have any sort of safety net in terms of, personal finances, because I'm just awful with money. But I feel like a lot of people, there are a decent amount of people in the world that have a big safety net, like with their family, or a spouse or something of that nature. It's just me. So taking the chance still, and just knowing that you're gonna like figure it out, because everything has to work out in the end. It doesn't matter.
What's your relationship with fear?
As a person who has struggled quite deeply with anxiety for, I think my anxiety really kicked in whenever I was about 19, on a completely different level. Like, it was no longer just like what I would consider like a normal level, like being nervous or, anticipating something. It was really fear of nothing, fear of made up scenarios. So that constant feeling of like flight or fight is something that I would never wish on anyone. And it's only really been since moving to Vegas that my relationship with fear hasn't been a daily occurrence. So luckily, I would say, my relationship with fear, my interactions with fear are not what they used to be, but in the best ways possible. So, and I think that I'm less afraid or less fearful of the most minute things in life because I know more about who I am. I'm very confident in who I am and what I bring to the table. So I'm not fearful of as much as I was, definitely kind of as more of an adolescent or my first rodeo, as I would call it. So, yeah. And we've talked about that together. Yeah. Oh, totally. Thank you, Vegas.
Like desert, lack of humidity,
being
sunshine,
able to be outside, a lot of sunshine. Yep. And just, I also feel like something for me too that kind of plays into that is anytime, and it's only really happened twice, maybe 3 times, less so with St. Louis. But whenever I moved to Orlando and when I moved to Vegas, one of the big things for me was like nobody knows me. I can be whoever I want to be.
Oh, I love that.
And that I feel like really opened up to being like, okay, well, you knew who you were in this city. You knew who you were in St. Louis and what was projected onto you because of a lot of the company that I kept or, like I was known as pretty much the concert photo girl. Like that was my role in St. Louis. It didn't matter what else I did. That was me. And then so coming out here and being given the opportunity to be whoever I wanted, I think really I took everything that I really knew about myself in St. Louis, cut all of the bullshit, and then just like expanded upon that out here with whatever felt right. So.
Did you ever have a moment where you like wanted to be known as like the photo concert girl?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I as many people do, I struggled with a lot of jealousy in the concert world, not necessarily with anyone even in my own town. It was just like seeing other people be on like massive tours and get constantly bouncing around from big name band to big name band and like all of this stuff. And it's like, God, I wanted that. I wanted that so badly. But then I realized like also within that, I was realizing that I was asking for a lot of external validation. And even though that's what moved me, I also felt like it was the direction that other people were moving me into as well. Like once I got comfortable in that space, it was like, oh, I have nothing else. So I definitely wanted that at a point, but it's like, it's always for me, it's like, oh, I want this. But then as soon as someone else is like, yeah, no, I want this for you, it's like, no, I don't want it anymore. I don't want it. And I think that's the kind of the point that I got to. So
it's almost like you felt like you had to like walk in every room with a camera around your neck.
Always.
Because like
I never got invited to events just to hang out or weddings of friends to hang out. It was always, hey, will you shoot this, and always wanting the deals, as well.
Well, of course.
Which
of course everybody wants the deal.
But yeah, and it also got to the point where I was using my camera and my hair, which is if we ever get to the shaving of the head story, plays into a lot of it of I used my camera and I had really long hair to almost hide behind as like a security from the anxiety that I had. And so, I mean, it wasn't very often that I was showing up at places without a camera. And I think that I broke that at a point as well, which was a really good turning point for me.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's also really cool to see how like you internalized and like processed it, where you're like, all right, this is like, again, you know me well enough where it's like, all right, you want me to go do that?
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Yeah. No, I don't want it.
I don't want it.
Because I wanted it for me, and now that somebody else, it feels like the pressure is there. It's like, I'm no longer passionate about it. No longer jazzed.
So well said. It's when everybody praises you, you still doubt yourself. Or you're like, okay, did that. Yeah. Check the box. Yeah. I want the next. Yeah. I have no clue what the next thing is. Because I knew what the path was to get to where everybody thought or put me in the box or the pedestal of where I needed to be. Where for me, like there's certain things where it's like I didn't reach my full potential, but everybody else told me I did. Yeah. Or everybody else told me I did it. Or you got there. All right, well, where's the next level? Yeah. I want somebody to doubt me.
Yeah. Because that's going to give me the drive to go and prove it. I love nothing more than someone doubting me or my abilities.
No question. Doubt me, watch me work.
Yeah.
Let me work in the dark.
Yeah.
It's like we talk about this a lot where it's just like, I just want to go and tinker.
Yeah.
Right? It's like you and I want to just sit here and like go to a whiteboard and like work through problems.
Yeah.
In the dark, like no one knows we're working, but it's like we don't need to share that we're working.
Yeah.
We don't need to like portray that, like, again, like so many elements to it. It's just like, let me get my job done.
Right.
Like, let me show up for me and let me show up for what I want to accomplish. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to go show you what I'm made of.
Yeah.
And if I do 34 things in my career, amazing.
Cool.
If I do 2, amazing.
Yep.
In Las Vegas, you've been here for, I don't know, just under a year. And now it's like you're in a job at the Littlefield company. We are thrilled to have you here. And so, like, as you look at your job and how it's, because it hasn't really had much time to evolve yet.
Right.
But where do you see, like, your perfect job? And I know we've talked about this a lot, and like actually very recently we've talked about this a lot too, because like, I mean, you just really kicked off. Yeah. Like we did the last podcast like right when you got here, and that was amazing and that was so much fun. But like we spent so much time in coffee shops, your old office, before in like understanding that story.
Yeah.
So now it's like looking at the Littlefield company, like where do you want to like, where does your legacy, like when you walk out the door of the Littlefield company Vegas office, where we are right now, HQ. It's like when you walk out the door every day, like what's the impact you want to make on the people here and then the rest of the company?
So I think for me, always have been a people person. And like I said, I think I got my servant's heart from my mother of just, I just want people to be happy. And sometimes that is a bit of a fault because I will sometimes give more of myself than I even have to ensure that someone else is happy or feels, important. Because, and I think that also kind of comes from not being happy for so long and not feeling important for so long. As I mentioned, a very depressed child. I think I just made my life worse on my own and spinning thoughts, right? Like as you do as a kid.
Well, everybody told you that you need to be happy,
right?
Which then you went the other way. Just
That's
kidding.
Exactly
I'm
what
kidding.
happened. That's totally what happened. But I think it's just making sure that things are clear in a way to people, whether that's, employee facing or client facing, that makes things just a lot smoother. Because whenever there's not a whole bunch of back and forth, people are a lot more happy. They're getting the answers that they need in the time frames that they need them. And I think that there's always room for improvement in that, right? But it's statistically proven that happy employees and happy clients make for more successful business.
No question.
And so that's something that I was able to find something that I'm really passionate about, which is people and building relationships. And, like I mentioned, the left side of my brain or left side of my brain that really loves like rules and processes.
Right side.
And
I think creative's left.
Okay. So like that side of my brain, being able to find something that I got to kind of do both. Like I get to have the relationships, but also get to make sure that things are being done in a timely manner. And I'll never forget, shortly after we had talked, I had called my mom, and I was trying to explain to her what, you and I at the time were trying to figure out, for,
I remember you telling me this.
It's so sad. For like, what would be a good role, for me to fall into here. And I remember calling my mom and she was like, okay, so explain to me what your job is again. And I go, I gave her the whole thing of like, here's the title, here's like, what Google says about my job, and she was like, I'm still not getting, like, what do you do day to day? And I go, I make sure that our employees are happy and our clients are happy. But, obviously I feel like clients being happy is a lot of internal work, making sure happy employees are producing good work. And you know what I mean? And I was like, so really my focus is on the employees and making sure that they're happy. They're happy with what they're coming in and doing every day. They're happy with the team that they're surrounded by. And there was just silence on the other end of the phone. I go, Mom? And I can like hear that she's like welling up a little bit with tears. And she goes, you're supposed to be happy when you go to work? Because my mom worked in corrections my entire life. So happiness and that job don't super go hand in hand. Walking into work fearing for your life every day. And just like hearing that from her, really just kind of like just hit me in the heart, because I was like, yeah, you should. Granted, it doesn't matter what, we do as a company. We'll never be able to make someone happy if they don't put in a lot of work, on personal with themselves. But like we can make sure that you're enjoying what you're doing and helping you into, situations that you're passionate about and you feel really fulfilled in. And just hearing that from her of, you're supposed to be happy. It's like, you're probably, the age old saying of, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. That's freaking great. That's what everyone, in my opinion, should strive for. And if I can be a part of that, journey or a part of that day to day for someone to feel that way about what they're doing, hell yeah. So that's all I want, is for people to come in, feel fulfilled and passionate about what they're doing and happy. Because I think that there's so many things in our lives that are stressors, and work will always have some, aspect of that as well. But there's so many other things outside of work that are stressors and are hard to deal with on a day-to-day basis. A place that you're giving, a third of your life, your day to, why should that be god awful too?
I don't know. I've always been it's when you're growing up, your parents say like, all right, you're going to do it for love or money.
Yeah.
And it's always been love for me.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know the other side of that. Yeah. If I wanted to be miserable, sure. Yeah. I'll go take a financial job. Mm-hmm. Not for me.
Yeah.
I'll go pour the sweat equity and I'll build something that I care about. Mm-hmm. And we'll go do the next thing.
Yeah.
So now, love that answer, by the way.
Thanks.
Crushed it. You are crushing it. So like, props. We might do a little field company poll in the middle of this, but anyways, no, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
I'm kidding.
God.
I'm kidding. Now looking at the love aspect of like being in Las Vegas, you look at nature. I know you're a huge person that wants to be in nature like all the time as much as you can.
Yeah.
So if no one's been to Vegas, because everybody thinks Las Vegas, they think the Strip.
Yeah.
Right? No one knows anything of like Summerlin or Henderson or Red Rocks. Nothing.
Yeah.
They just go.
Red Rocks is in Colorado. You be very careful.
You're right.
With that.
My apologies.
Someone might show up here and have a word with you or something.
Yeah. No, we don't want that. We don't want
that.
We definitely don't want that.
Yeah.
All right. So Red Rock.
There you go.
Singular. Now, where's the place if somebody flies into Las Vegas, touches down at the airport, and if they're not going to want the Strip experience, where are they going?
So I still feel like you can have both, right? In a way.
No question about it.
If you're looking to, I'm not the type of person where as soon as I step off a plane, I'm like, yeah, let me go do like a 4-mile hike or like just go. I'm like probably like, hey, I want to like grab a nice bite to eat, maybe have a very good drink. So directly off of the plane, I would recommend Arts District.
Great spot.
Fantastic
Great
spot.
Easy to walk around. You get every option.
Yeah.
It's great.
And it's one little, there's a couple like lingering things off to the side, but it's like one main drag.
Yep.
And it's absolutely wonderful. Whoever is in charge of that has just done a fantastic job. I'll take Arts District over the Strip or Fremont even, which might be a hot take there, any day. I know.
Wowzers.
Fremont would be like so if I was going to like go in order, right? Like I would want to spend time in Arts District.
Yep.
But then like if I couldn't do that for some reason, like I'd probably go to Fremont, and it's like I'm only going to the Strip if I absolutely have to.
So you're picking Fremont over the Strip.
Oh, for sure.
Wow.
I'm not a big, maybe talk to me 5 years in the past and I would have been like, woo, the Strip. Hell yeah, nightlife, party. But these days, like, The best thing that I want to do on a weekend night, which is something that I do every Thursday night, it's like I just want to go drink a beer and shoot some pool. Or if I'm not going to be in nature, right?
I thought you were going to say Nacho Daddies.
Oh, so that was what I was going to say. The only other reason you will catch me on the Strip is to go to Nacho Daddies, and there are numerous places all around. There's one in Summerlin.
Yeah, of course.
You know where I stay. There's one literally right down here on Fremont. It has to be the Strip.
It's Nacho Daddies in Vermont's not great.
I wouldn't argue with that one.
I know, and I feel bad saying that. Because Nacho Daddies has my heart.
Yeah.
It's a great spot.
Great place. 10 out of 10. But that's about the only time that you're going to probably catch me down on the Strip is that. But as far as, if you're going to stay a while and you want to get a little wild in nature.
Yeah.
Definitely. So one of my favorite spots, it's super easy too. I think it's 1.5 miles out and back, real quick. It's a trail called Icebox Canyon.
Okay.
Which I just absolutely adore. My best friend and I went out there. I flew out to visit her a few months maybe before coming out here, I think. And we were just hanging out. She found this place and said, let's go. It was 95 degrees at 7 a.m. whenever we decided to get up and go do this hike. As soon as you get into the canyon, though, it's cool. It's like maybe 75.
Really?
It's beautiful. And it's a lot of,
Wow.
I love to climb stuff. That's like my big thing whenever I'm, anytime that I'm exploring. I actually almost died in Death Valley not long ago from falling off. I may or may not have been trying to climb a sandstone cliff and might have caught myself with one hand hanging on the edge of a minor drop-off area. But it's fine. I survived.
Right. When you say minor,
it really. If I would have fallen,
feet?
no, definitely not 4 feet.
We
If
talking
I
8
would have
feet?
fallen, I probably would have broken something, but I wouldn't have died.
Okay.
Yeah, like it would have hurt. It would have hurted real bad, but I wouldn't have died by any means.
Okay.
Maybe I might have had an ego death for sure.
Sure. Without question.
Yeah. But Icebox Canyon is a big one, and then I wish that I could remember. I want to say it's like, I'm not going to remember it. We'll link it in the bio or something. But there's another place out by Hoover Dam.
Like Boulder City area.
Yes, that. I think it's Gold Strike Canyon. Maybe that sounds really familiar. It could be totally off base. I'll figure it out. But it's one of my favorite hikes to do. And I think it's about 8 miles out and back again. Okay. But you actually have to climb down, I think it's 7 or 8 ropes that are just there. People have gone along and just secured these things. But you have to climb down into this canyon and you keep going. It's about 4-ish miles in, and then you're at the Colorado River.
Wow.
And it's just gorgeous. There's cliff jumping, which I love to put myself in situations that I probably shouldn't. That would make my mother squirm. But it's probably one of my favorite hikes.
Really cool.
One of my favorite hikes, for sure.
Okay.
Yep. Very good areas. Also, just like driving to the Hoover Dam.
Oh, it's such
I
a
would
pretty
just
drive.
take the drive. I would take that all day if it was just that.
Such a pretty drive.
Coming over that hill and seeing the what is it, Lake Mead?
Yep.
Lake Mead, and it's always just so blue. I love it.
No,
it's beautiful.
I remember the first time I went out there, and even coming back.
Oh yeah.
Like coming back after, it's like you're looking at Las Vegas, just sitting in like the punch bowl,
and you're getting a gorgeous view of the mountains on the other side of Vegas too. And then you've got Lake Mead in the rear view.
Yep.
It's just
it's a special spot.
Yeah. There's so much more here than the freaking Strip, man.
No question about it.
So much more.
And that's sort of like what, even when I told my parents, we're like, yeah, we're going to go to Vegas. They're like, to do what? Like to
Gamble.
do what? Like that's like, that was their expectation.
Yeah.
Like my mom's never been out here, but it's like, my dad was like, oh, we've been here for like a conference or like, hey, it was a trade show.
Oh, so he's not going far from the Strip pretty much.
Well, that's
right?
the thing. It was like, I remember when he told me about the Vegas, like back like 20 years ago when I was a kid, it was like he talked about like staying like in the underground tunnels of like never leaving a hotel because it was always AC'd.
Yep.
And I remember coming out here for the first time expecting that, where I was like, okay, it's arguably like wintertime in Toronto,
Yeah.
where like you have this whole like underground, like where people are moving around downtown
Yeah.
Toronto. It's not that at all.
Yeah.
It's just not even close to it. I don't know. I'm bullish on Vegas. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Big fan of Vegas.
Love Vegas.
Vegas.
Yep.
Go out to Summerlin, get around Henderson. Everything's there. It's convenient. It's clean. It's amazing.
Well, you've got, if you want to take a little trip to Colorado, you can go up to Mount Charleston, which is fantastic.
gosh,
if you're looking for grass, you know, and some trees,
I know,
you
but
can
it's
go
crazy
up there.
to think about that.
Literally, to me, it kind of looks like Colorado for sure. Like that's just the vibe that I get from it. And then you can drive, you know, out towards LA are like huge sand dunes. We've got the lake. You've got the strip if you want to get a little cray on the weekend, you know, whatever. We've got the arts district, like anything that you could possibly want to do aside from surf, I think. Which that's not to say that there aren't surfing facilities here. I would be not shocked if that was the
probably.
case. But I mean, aside from the ocean, you can pretty much do anything else. There's a ski resort on top of Mount Charleston. Like you can pretty much do anything else you want to out here.
So what we're saying is you got to come hang out with us in Vegas.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for everybody at home, come out and visit the Littlefield Company in Las Vegas. We're right downtown. We're expanding. We're growing. If you need a place to work, come on by. And Chelsea, I am so happy that you've been hanging out with me today. I'm happy that it was part 2 and like to have people really see, you know, how you are impacting the people at the Littlefield Company. And not only here, but like in your life and how you've moved through it. But like, is there anything, as we close today, is there anything that you want people to know about, I don't know, if it's another life story or if it's, you know, the legacy you want to leave on this world or like how your view has changed or, you know, whatever.
Just take the chance. Just take the chance. I think I said something similar at the end of part 1. But just take the chance. And also hit me up if you're in Vegas. So we'll go, I'll steal your line. We'll go get coffee.
Hey.
Or go to Nacho Daddy's, whatever. There's the 2 options. We can
never
go get coffee or Nacho Daddy's.
Never turn down a conversation or a cup of coffee.
Yep.
That's it. All right. Well, then, everybody, thank you so much for joining us today. Chelsea, thanks for being here. As we wrap, I thought we ended the last episode with Pez and a blind taste test on Pez.
We did.
So what I did was I have a little surprise for you.
Do you?
As we finish this episode, what I have done is I have gone out and got one of my favorite candies.
Ooh.
I know. And this is a candy that I don't have very much anymore, which is a shame. But I literally built the company off it. So I have brought one of my favorite candies.
Oh, you had it with you?
Yep. Okay, so one of my favorite candies is Lifesaver
Amazing.
Gummies. I also love the tropical ones.
Interesting.
Big fan of the tropical ones. The classic's great.
Classics
So-
and Wild Berry are the only ones I've had.
Oh, you're right. Wild Berry.
Oh.
Wild Berry is game
Yeah.
changer. There's one that has them together. It's like it's called Starts with a C. But it's like they have the 2 flavors together,
Interesting.
which is there's a few home run flavors in there.
Really?
Just saying. So what we're gonna do.
Are you doing a blind taste test?
Oh, I went through the ringer the last time.
Okay.
I think this is gonna be a lot easier to go through the ringer on.
I thought Pez was pretty easy.
Okay, clearly I went 50-50. All right, so here we go. All right, what flavor are we gonna pick here? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. There's the winner. All right. It is in your hand.
Did you already show it?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Such a great flavor. Oh my gosh.
It's got to be the red one off the bat.
Nope.
Cherry.
It is pink.
Oh,
Oh, it's pink.
they're too close.
Oh, they're so good.
They're too close.
They're so good. Strawberry, just so good. Okay.
Strawberry's good.
On that note, we're gonna go finish this bag off. I hope everybody has a beautiful day. Thank you, Chelsea, and stay tuned for the next episode of Duncan to Go. Bye, everybody.